Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Super Soldier Talk. My name is James Rink, for those of you who don't know, and we have a very exciting guest today, Kathryn Farrell. Sergeant Kathryn Farrell. How are you doing, Kathryn? Oh, I'm sorry. I muted you. Okay, yeah, unmute yourself. Sorry. Can you unmute yourself?
I'm well, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you very much. This is the second video this week, and I'm getting a little feedback. Maybe maybe you could turn your volume down a little bit. Um, so, we, yeah, I'm hearing an echo. Darn, maybe we can get you. Can you turn your audio down a little bit? Maybe we could put you on a.
I
Uh,
did. Is
okay.
that better?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Audience members, thank you for joining us here on this live stream. Kathleen from South Carolina, welcome. Uh, here, I'm up here in North Carolina doing our thing here.
Hmm.
And Barbara, Jason, Iron Mantis, thank you all for joining us. So, Kathryn was used as a super soldier in the secret space program. She served in combat on Mars, commanding troops on the front lines. She has been utilized in cloning experiments in underground bases, and she is professionally trained. Intuitive. Well, so you were professionally trained in the secret space program, or here in the here and now, Kathryn, as a remote viewer,
Uh,
intuitive.
I was born a natural intuitive, and I was trained in remote viewing with the military
Very good. Okay,
with one of the
she's
programs.
She served aboard a massive mothership offering support and assistance, and she closely worked with the Mantid beings, documenting their interactions and objectives. She's also served in the armed forces in the here and now. Is that correct?
Yes,
I know it's a sensitive topic, but um, over the past
yes.
several years, Kathryn has been working with a Sirian being called Eophie, who helped her overcome programming negativity and breaking free from this 3D dimension. And she believes uh, this dimension functions as a spiritual prison. Through the understanding of our true nature as golden beings of essence, we can tap into the energy of Amrita. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Amrita.
Amrita.
Amrita. Amrita, a powerful force of enlightenment that travels through our chakras, connecting us to higher realms. So we got your contact details in there and all that. So, all right, Kathryn. So is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Um, I I'll explain things as I go along. I think that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So tell us, when do you maybe realize you might have been different than other people? Maybe we can go back into your past.
During childhood, I was always a very different sort of child. I didn't really fit in, and I wasn't like other relatives. I have 24 cousins and about 14 aunties and uncles, and I did not fit in with them. Um, when my mother was pregnant with me, she nearly had a miscarriage at 3 months. She fell down the stairs at 7 months, and my father died 10 days before I was born. He died next to my mother in bed of heart failure, and I was born 10 days later. So I was born into grief, which is the start of any SSP's childhood. There's always trauma and grief so that they can shatter us. When I was probably 3 or 4, I remember seeing these beautiful triangles in the air above my little canvas swimming pool in the backyard in Brisbane. It's very, very hot here, so my mother put a pool out there for me. And I saw these interlacing triangles in the air. I didn't tell anyone about it because I knew that they wouldn't understand. So I guess apart from the little greys that came in and out of my personal space and my house space when I was a baby, and I remember them quite vividly, um, they would be the beginning of my unusual experiences. I got used to the little greys, and had they gone away, I would have missed them because my mother locked me up into rooms, bedroom, whatever. She had a Valium addiction and would lock me up for long periods of time. And I I made other types of friends during that time. I learned that you can't scream or cry because no one's coming. When I was about 12, that was my first pack rape. Max Beers used to talk about breaking of the seal of Solomon so that they could shatter the soul into pieces, usable pieces. I had a second rape when I was 14, pack rape, and lots of incest in between, which made it fertile ground to shatter my soul and have it ready for use with the military. I began, I think, having my first soldier experiences in my early 30s. And at about the same time, I remember floating in and out of my bedroom window and having extra eggs. I knew they were implanting extra eggs into me. And I had a lot of eggs on my own. I was quite fertile as a person, but they were also putting their own eggs in there and taking things out of my body, putting things into my body, and I really didn't have control over my body at that stage. My first experiences as a soldier uh, were being by myself. I was running out of a cave once, and I went out of the cave and went down a slope that was near the road, and curled up and tried to be like a rock, like visualize myself and be a rock. And they didn't see me down the side of this little hill. And I thought to myself, that was the first realization of a soldier. And I thought, whoever would have thought that someone would curl up and be a rock? It was so far away from what I thought as a mother. I was like, oh, what is that? And then lots of experiences, not lots, but a few experiences happened after that. I remember yelling at people in the trenches. There are trenches that they dig to keep their heads down and trying to organise a whole lot of scared soldiers who weren't acting in their own best interest, and some people would be shot. And in my experiences, I used to think, why would you put your head up over a trench? Everybody knows that you don't do that. And how stupid are you really to put your head up over a trench? I mean, it's just stupid. Um, there were other experiences, but I can't recall them all right now. There was quite a few. The last one that I had, I was shot in the head with some sort of laser weapon, and it went from my head down to my clavicle, and it just went side to side, and no blood, no gore. It was very, very neat, like a laser cut. And that was the end of that particular soldier. I didn't revisit that situation anymore. But flashes come in and out. Spiders visit me in the middle of the night. Sometimes they bite me. At other times, they're climbing in and out of portals, going up and down my wall. And that is a military weapon. It comes to disrupt your electrical equipment, your computer or phone or whatever. And I think Miles Johnson calls them scuttlers. And there's quite a few that would come out. I'd watch them. Their portal would open and they would just climb in like they were climbing through a window. And different ones, they don't have an abdomen. They have just a round shell plug thing with about 8 legs, but no abdomen because they don't eat, and it's just electrical equipment. It doesn't need a digestive system. I prayed quite hard to get rid of them, and I got rid of the ones that I used to see creeping around on my wall. but one of considerable size came probably about a year ago and bit me on my back. And I think the width of the mandibles was about a meter. It was a very big spider, and it came and bit me. I'm not sure why. Who knows what the military? They're so interdimensional now that it's hard to know really what they're up to. There are so many people creating so many different programs and beings.
About you, I got lots of questions. Okay, uh, are you able to telepathically, or do they telepathically communicate with you? These spiders.
No, I don't communicate with them. I don't think they have the capacity because they are interdimensional machinery. There's nothing to communicate with. They purely come in and out to disrupt communications.
Okay.
The military will send them if you're, up to no good.
Would you consider these archons, or is that maybe that's something different?
It may be a, product of an archon, one of their little toys that they play with interdimensionally. Um, I've discovered the military has quite an interdimensional presence. It's not just in this dimension. It goes, I don't know how many dimensions, a
Very
lot.
good. So, have you seen a portal, and what did they look like?
The portal that I saw with these spiders, or portals, it was just a dark hole, but you could kind of see through to the other side. Uh, but there was nothing to see there because they blur. They blur faces. Um, they blur whatever they want. They can blur me if they want to. But the portals I couldn't see through to the other side, but it was like going into an air conditioning duct in a way that it would go down like that, and all you could see was the other side of the duct. Like you could only see this much, but not where it was actually going. Clearly, it was going. I live a walking distance of a military base, and they are very active. It's the biggest on the central coast of Australia, Queensland, and it's called Enoggera Army Barracks. I used to work there as well.
Oh wow. So okay.
Mm.
Well, before we go into maybe why they chose you, or maybe you could tell us, do you think these the spider bite actually okay, so they are coming into your home, but do you think they might be pulling you to Mars, where there are supposedly, there's huge giant 10 foot wide giant crab like spider beings out over there?
No, this happened after my Mars experiences. This is not probably about 6 years ago, I think. And I was pretty pissed off at the time with what had happened to me once I realized that they'd been using me in ways that were unethical, I saw as unethical. So, to anyone and everyone who would listen to me talk about it, I would just tell everyone everything all the time. And so they would come and punish me for that. It's like, shut up, you know?
Okay. Wow. Well, let's go back a little bit. So maybe we can discuss a little bit. Why do you think they chose you? Was your family involved, or are you from a bloodline family? Something. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. My father, he was in the Battle of Al Alamein, the Raid of Tobruk, and the withdrawal of Malta during the Second World War. Um, he's an Irish aristocrat. He was, before he died, an Irish aristocrat. The He had considerable training. It wasn't his idea to. He died when he was 38. He was far too early. They used to feed him speed so he can go backwards and forwards to the front. He was a truck driver. When I worked at the army barracks, I learned there that signals. That's where the generally the spies are trained. after a certain point in time, they're not known as anyone in signals. They'll just call themselves a truck driver. And my father was a truck driver, and he used to go backwards and forwards to the front, collecting soldiers, taking supplies, things like that. On my mother's side of the family, her grandfather was a Lord Ironside, and they have an honorary seat in the House of Parliament, House of Lords in Britain. And they are called Ironsides because they have an unbroken lineage that goes back to, is it, Ragnarok from the movie, from the series Vikings? Ragnar Lothbrok. And this individuals that we go back to is a Lothbrok, and it's an unbroken lineage from the Vikings that landed in Scotland. And they're very proud. They call themselves Lord Ironsides, and it goes back to him. So there's an unbroken lineage to a Viking warrior. And they were, and probably still are, very tuned in with their Viking heritage. So there's that. And plus, as a child, I don't look anything like my family. They have an Indigenous background, and I look like my father. I have A negative blood, red hair, and a military background. And it's kind of already halfway there as far as training. Like, they just have to hook into my genetic heritage and tweak it from there. Yep. Bjorn Ironside, that's exact. Yes.
I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce that. Okay, thank you, Chad.
Bjorn.
Okay.
So that's why I think I was chosen.
So that particular bloodline is probably connected to maybe one of these demigods. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is strong in me. I was a beast of a child, pretty much.
Do you have O negative blood?
A negative.
Okay.
A negative blood, red hair. My genetics are military.
Okay.
Yep. So I think that's maybe why. And the traumatizing started early.
All right. Well, let's go
In
more.
the womb.
So is that something you remote viewed, or is that somebody handed you your files, or you
That's my
remember?
research.
Okay.
My own personal research into my family history.
Do you have missing time related to your early childhood, or even throughout your life?
I do. Yes. It very neatly splices in again, though. There is missing time that neatly splices in where it left off. And but there is a sense of missing time and shifting from one realm to another. And I was a very kind of confused child because I didn't really know where I was. I still wake up and go, where am I? Because I'm not sure what dimension I'm in anymore, or or what bed I'm sleeping in, and who's going to be around when I'm waking up. And like, it was really disorienting as a child, even as an adult.
Okay. Did you ever have issues with like bloody noses, maybe waking up with bruises or needle marks, anything like that?
I have bite marks. I don't remember needle marks as a child, or I don't remember waking up with a bloody nose, but I suffered considerable unexplainable pain in my body. And my mother would just say, oh, it's only growing pains or something like that. And I would think, no, that's not it. That is not what's going on here. I don't know what it is, but it's not that. And I became really hyperactive. They called me Crash Bang as a child, Crash Bang Amelia. And that's because I just ran everywhere. I didn't stay still for anything. And people became very exhausted around me because I was very, very active.
Wow, that's great. That's a great attribute to have, though,
Yeah, fresh
especially
pain.
the older you get. Okay. Okay. Um, so, what are some of your abilities that you maybe that's one of the reasons they, for the intuitive and remote viewing parts that they recruited you
Yeah.
for?
Telepathic, intuitive, um, remote viewing. Even though I don't have much control over my remote viewing, it's generally accidental the way I see it. Intuitive, I've had my whole life. Telepathy, I've developed over time, but I've had it my whole life because I would hear other people's conversations in my head, but it didn't make any sense to me as a child, which was another disorienting aspect. Um, it was a very confusing childhood because a lot of thoughts just weren't even my own. And I remember distinctly when I first realized I was at work and there was a man standing next to me and he was talking about his wife. And I thought to myself, hang on, I don't have a wife. Why am I thinking about my wife? And I looked over and there's this man next to me and I thought, it's you. You're thinking about your wife. And after that, it was just a free for all. I could hear everything and still do. And it's very, you certainly know what people think about you. Mm. And generally, it's not really good. Mm.
Right. So, typically, so that would be what you would consider telepathy.
Telepathic.
Yeah. Okay.
Where I live now, there's a soldier an officer that rides his bike past every day. And exercise. There's this giant hill, and he goes up and down this hill. And he was going past on his way back to the barracks, and he in his head he said, "Oh, your yard looks better." I'd put up all this fencing and screening, and I said, "Yeah, thanks." And he said, "Wait a minute, can you hear me?" And I said, "Yes, I can hear you." And then he had this kind of rhetoric going in his mind all the way back to the army barracks, which was like 5 minutes or something. And he's like, "Oh my God, why are they keeping someone like that so close to the army barracks? And maybe I should have a dinner party and invite people over and just casually mention it so we can have a casual conversation about it." And then he thought by the time he got back to the army barracks, he thought, no, I'm just going to leave it alone, pretend it never happened. So he could hear. And I just wave to him every time he goes past. And it's like, well, I know who you are and you know who I am. And we might as well just wave at each other on the way.
All right. So we can go out to Vegas and check out the blackjack tables. You and I. Well, we must be
That would
young.
be fun.
But yeah, I think so. So my experience over the years interviewing people that have that characteristic of telepathy is usually they also have extremely high IQ because you can read the minds and of someone else and you can figure out what the test is and all the answers. So is it? Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 2 degrees and a diploma and a bunch of certificates. Um, and I'm also applied to study next year for counselling and hypnosis. So I have to study, otherwise I get really naughty. Yeah, I start to get really disruptive. So I have to do something with my mind.
Right. You don't want Santa to show up, to not show up. That is. I know it's just a joke. I've been working. Kathryn, did you read it? The post.
I haven't read it yet. There's people everywhere, and it's so hot here. I've decided to have an iced chocolate with it instead.
Very good. Yeah. So I wrote a Harry Potter. Santa Claus shows up at Hogwarts, and it's over on Facebook. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, it's awesome stories. I love them.
Thank you. So since we're talking about beings that we're in contact with, what beings are you in contact with?
I'm in contact with my beautiful friend. I can't pronounce his name. I believe he's Andromedan, maybe from Sirius, because I do see a lot of Sirius and blue, and he's here to help me overcome and get out of the prison of this dimension and get out of the being captured by the military. I have a few experiences as a sphere, because when I'm out of my body, I'm a sphere, like of different sizes, and um, they use me. There are ways that my sphere is used by people that I approve of, like I approve of that contact. And then there are other times where I'm locked into a grey box and I don't approve, but I'm there for transport. And there's I might say it. There was an experience. I'll say it anyway. If I end up dead, I end up dead. And if there was an experience where I was in this place called Adelaide, and that's down the bottom of Australia, where the military have a submarine. We got rid of the French and took on British submarine making recently, not that far away. But in the museum in Adelaide, and it's a church city, it's a pretty place, there is a portals to pocket dimensions. You go through the gift shop and it opens up into portals. And there are individuals that use these portals for privacy and secrecy. And I was in this dimension, one of the dimensions in there, and I was wearing this off the rack red suit, mainly because it was too baggy, and I had short dark hair. I was different looking, still me, short dark hair with a red suit on. I would never wear a red suit, by the way. It was one of those, here, put that uniform on because you're doing this today, or put that uniform on because you're doing that today. So that day it was a red uniform. So these individuals came out of a lecture theatre and the walls were dark. The other walls where I were transparent, not glass, but an interdimensional transparency, so that they could be shielded off and used as personal meeting rooms. So anyway, these individuals came out. There was about 4 or 5 smaller ones in dark suits, kind of like Men in Black, and I couldn't see their faces because they were shielded. And there were 2 military men that came out of the lecture room, and they were so happy. They were just laughing, and they were clearly very, very pleased with the information that they had received in the room. And I looked at the camo on one of them, and it was a blue, digital blue, and it had long kind of stripes, and it was digitized. And so I researched that and found that it's submarine core. And then I found the individual that was coming out of the room and discovered that I knew this individual really well and that I work often with that person. And and yeah, I found him. But the next time that I was with him, he was walking along a ramp in a starship, and it was a metal ramp, and it made this clang, clang, clang sound with his boots as he was going down to the cargo bay. So many cargo bays. And there were, to my left-hand side, a lot of soldiers that were waiting to go off planet, like troops of them. And on the right-hand side, there was a whole lot of wrapped up cargo that they were taking with them, like their gear. And also off to the right-hand side, in another area, was myself and others like me that were locked up in these grey boxes, but the grey boxes were able to hold us as spheres. And the spheres were used for intelligence, for observing and reporting. And my lovely blue friend has offered to help myself and others like me go up in vibration so that we can't be captured anymore and used by the militaries of Earth. who seem to enjoy capturing us. We I don't know what my mission was that particular time. Yes, it's a little
Is that
bit like that.
so?
Yeah,
They were bottling your soul in these spheres,
yep, that's right.
and they were doing like a soul transfer into clone bodies.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. I just saw myself as being trapped, and I don't like being trapped because I have that kind of that memory from childhood of being trapped in rooms and being trapped with these rapists, and it's a bit of a trigger for me to feel trapped. So I hightailed it out of there, um, and I recognised him as the same person that was in the museum, and I think I was there to escort them back out through the gift shop because I ended up back in the gift shop, and close off the portals and hide it all away again until next time.
So
And
you
yes, my blue friend, it is overcoming. It's overcoming the um, negative paradigms, negative um, psyops, mind control that we are trapped in from early childhood, and they capture us and they lock us into a mind control situation. The programs, in other words, and make endless clones out of us. The only way out is to ascend pretty much to a higher dimension. Not the big, like, wahoo ascension, but just one dimension at a time. If we can just manage to get to the fourth, then the fifth, that baby steps. So if we can all just up it to the fourth, we will not be able to be trapped. Anyway, that's my thought. But now that I'm saying it, I'm thinking there are other dark individuals waiting at every dimension. But for this particular 3D, getting out of it requires shifting, according to my friend.
wow. So how would you? Uh, are you able to open up portals? And I guess close them too, right? Can
I
you?
can close them, definitely.
But not.
As far as opening them up, there's no way I could do that with the military. They are the only ones that have the keys to do that, and somebody who's there as an aide won't be able to do it. They don't have the authority to do that.
Interesting. So it's like Hotel California. You can come, but you can't
Yeah,
leave. This is planned.
that's right. Except I can get you out.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about that. So now earlier you mentioned a cargo bay. Is that connected to the regression that we did? The same
No,
one?
that one isn't. No, we did cargo bays, a couple. And ever since then, it's all about cargo bays for me. Cargo bays here, cargo bays there. And the ones that when we did our regression, there were insectoids and there were um, uh, more insectoids to do with something as banal as engineering and building and, you know, basic building off planet. And then there were the replicators like the Stargate show, and they were snapping into line, and their legs were lifting up. They were snapping into this triangle shape, and then they would fit into the one in front of it, and then the next one would come along and do the same. And then they would build up and up and up, and there would hundreds of them, maybe even more than hundreds.
Okay. So you saw. First of all, am I allowed to share?
Yes, absolutely.
This is
Please
just
do.
a session. Okay. So you saw a green mantis, and it was about 12 foot tall. As it was talking, its mandibles were moving, constant movement. So now it was just you and this mantis, and said it was in this project, but feels bored. but there's also no magnetic field where you were at, so it feels very distracting. It's kind of interesting.
Yes, that was the minerals in our bodies are still magnetically attracted to the earth. So we have to kind of pull away from the earth, and the magnetism in our bodies and the magnetism in the earth weakens. So we have to get out of range so that we can function clearly.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so anything else about that? Do you just want to move on to the next one?
That was I was talking with a Mantid, and I think it might have been the one that we were discussing engineering and building projects. And he asked me where I was from, and I said I'm about half the way down the coast of Australia, and there's lots of noisy parrots. And he thought that was funny, and telepathically he kind of chuckled. Because chuckling is not really part of their natural language. And he thought that was funny. And then we just got on with the business. But I think it wasn't me. It was an insectoid, and I was doing a sphere, and I was observing and reporting, and it was asking me where I was from. So there are some individuals that are aware of the sphere beings aiding in communication, and then there are others who are not, where it is very invisible, and they're not aware. They're not aware that there is something they're observing and reporting.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's go on here. The next memory, you were uh, on this, was it a red planet? There's a dome of this medium-sized city, palm trees inside, a stylish airport,
Yeah.
polished marble, fossils in the marble.
That's right.
Well, it's not really marble,
I had forgotten
sandstone.
about that until you said it.
Wearing long
Yeah.
sleeve green khakis. Let's see here, black leather boots. Oh, okay. Why don't you explain what this is? This high security
This
clearance
is
only.
okay. It's on a shuttle or a small spaceship. We're going around Mars and to the back of it. Something about landing and the planet's moving, and you need to get around to the depot or the airport. What am I? I can't remember what you would even call it. And you needed, in order to land, you needed to work with the spinning of the planet. And so we landed, and there was about, I think, maybe 5 or 6 of us, or a small troop of us in uniform, and we had our kit, like our bag, and we got off the shuttle, and the one half of the shuttle bay was open to the stars, but it had a shield over it. And then the other part of the shuttle bay was covered over. It had kind of shops like you would find in any airport. And it was for soldiers who wanted to get, snacks or drinks or buy things or use their credit system. It's a credit system. And we were off to work with prisoners or individuals in the mines. And the ones who worked in the mines weren't socialized humans. They they weren't taught language. They weren't taught the appropriate. They didn't know how to go to the toilet or dress themselves, or it was very, very primal, and that's the way they are. They're bred for that purpose, and that's the only thing they know how to do.
So they're slaves in the mines.
That's right, yeah. And I
Mhm.
had another vision where I was in the mines, and it was straight after I was watching this human and an alien with an elongated head, and they were walking along deeper into the mine, and they were just chatting and laughing like it was a normal day, and then there were these bedraggled looking humans doing their thing, and I was in this kind of shelf thing in the side of the the side of the mine, and I was watching them go past, and I realized later that I ended up in the mines as punishment because I was remote viewing a certain NSA headquarters in the middle of the desert of Australia, and I found some mantids, not mantids, matra down the bottom there, about 4 or 5 of them, and they were circling a half dome, half clear dome, and inside the dome was a geographical locations, and they were moving the geographical locations around as they were circling this dome. And one of them saw me, and it was a very, very small room. And at the time I thought, there has to be some sort of gravity control because they have very thin necks and big matra heads, that with that it comes down to here and it bulbs out. And I thought their neck would break, logically looking at it. So one of them saw me, and I said, "Piss off," and it got really angry with me from the fact that I was just there. It didn't matter what I said to it, but I saw it and it saw me. So then I was taken back to my bedroom near the army barracks in another location that I was in, and slammed down on the bed. I had this shoulder was dislocated and it still clicks, and my neck was out for like 3 or 4 days, and then they put their dirty instruments up my right nostril and played around up there, and then they visited me for a few weeks after that, mucking around inside my nostril. But their instruments were filthy and it became all infected, and I was concerned I was going to get some sort of grubby sort of what do you call the cold sores that people get, and there's there's herpes. I was concerned I was going to get herpes out of this dirty, because they don't care. Like, what's it to them whether it's clean or not? So I was punished for that particular remote viewing uh, episode. It gives me a headache just thinking about it. And I have to watch myself, but every now and then I think, well, I'm sorry, but fuck you. Who the hell are you to tell me what to do? Don't even bother. Don't go knocking on my door. That's what I think. And then that whole sergeant thing comes out and I get really shouty and don't tell me what to do.
Wow, Kathryn.
Which is a little bit silly, but that's me. A little bit
Do
silly.
you, do you have any ideas how long you've served in these projects?
I would think until I was 40 something. I'm still serving with the military, hence the sphere. It's like the old paradigm of the super soldier that gets tortured, and and the mind's all broken up and the soul's all shattered, and there are lots and lots of clones. I mean, that may still go on, but to me it feels like there's been a shift in the a shift in that whole situation, and the old ways where it was very much in the physical is not like it's not like that anymore. There are digital ways of doing things, interdimensional ways of doing things. Like they muck around with our brain and they put implants in there that that are considerable. They it's not just a tiny little thing. And I hear going from one mind to the other this white noise like a radio. I can hear it going zzz, and I know there's things in there, but then there are other ways of doing things now, and the old paradigm doesn't really fit anymore. There's a new way of doing things. So 40 something, but then after that, it's gone into the new paradigm, and the old ways of doing things aren't working, and so a new thing has come along to take its place. To my way of thinking, in my opinion.
A new what is taking place? A new way of thinking from these experiences.
There is the digital technologies, maybe alien technology has developed more. And where we didn't have the technology for that anymore, now we do. So the military uses, they can control our thoughts and control our bodies. Like I will find myself doing things, you know, my arms or my body will um, go where I'm not necessarily wanting it to go, and I'll find myself doing things that are not in my control. My my body will be taken somewhere for viewing, um, remote viewing, because they can see out of my eyeballs and they're able to um, see wherever they put me, and they've got some sort of surveillance going on. They can take my body there and use it for surveillance.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me just pull back here some of these questions. Would you want to go more into this other memory that you had here? You were oh, this the hybrid babies, but there was a fish tank there. You want to go? Do you want to share anything about that?
Yep, I had a memory of being in a dumb base. Um, to be fair, it could be now from this lifetime, or it could be from any dimension or any time frame. I can't say for certain that it would be right now. And I was there, and I was about 8 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and I was walking down this hallway, and on the left hand side there were giant fish tanks, like the size, like 10 feet, 10 feet square, say. And one of them had aquatic hybrids in it, and there were two of them. I thought they were dead, and it was just dark grey, and it was the most uninspiring, dreadful place anyone could ever end up, especially for a creature that belongs in the open ocean. And I saw them, and I thought they were dead, but one of them twitched, and I thought, oh God, they're alive. Oh, that's the saddest thing. But the real sad thing was me going in to give birth with something with hooves, and I think I might have died because they two uh, two men in white coats were escorting me down a hallway, and I'm not sure if I was in pain or out to give birth, or it was just intensely uncomfortable. And they took me into this room, and I was laid down on a gurney, and I gave birth to this thing that they wrenched out of my body, and it looked like a kind of like a donkey type of. They're just sick, and they're into all sorts of, like, there's no reason for, they're just like experimenting. They're just sick. And it's short, its legs at the top were shorter than the legs at the back. It didn't look well, and I personally think I may have died, which is why I remember it was like I was going in to my death at the time, and so it was, I remembered that. I don't know what happened to the aquatic beings. I'm guessing they would die, because it's like a, if it was a military installation, then they would be using these aquatic beings for they would weaponize them.
Uh,
Yeah, so
have
that
you
was
ever?
one of the dumb base
Would you like
memories.
to share if you? I mean, I know this is very private information, but have you ever miscarried before?
I've had two miscarriages, one of them without a baby and one with a baby. The baby of one of them fell out in my hand, and it was like those little tiny dolls, little plastic dolls that you get from China. It looked like that, and it was dead already. Um, so it had died and come out. But the other one, there was just no baby. And I had all the pain and, all the things that go along with a miscarriage, but just no baby to show for it. And I
Uh,
was about 17, 18 when that happened.
okay. All right. Do you want to go into? So we've covered the memories of Mars, right? when you were a sergeant yelling at people?
Yeah, yelling at people. It seems to be what I do best, is yell at people, unfortunately.
Okay. What about this mothership? Oh, actually, I got a picture, some artwork to show. You want to talk about the mothership?
The mothership is an interstellar craft. It is, oh, that's just the outside going into the cargo bays, that particular piece of artwork, where the mantids arrive, and the cargo is there, and the soldiers are there, and the little replicators are there, all in these cargo bays. And there's two there, and it's a pretty good representation of cargo bays in space. The other interstellar craft, if you've been into down country roads, each hallway was as big as a road. It was massive. And I remember distinctly walking a couple to their quarters, and they were alien. They had, larger sized heads, and they were wearing beautiful robes, and they were clearly dignitaries of some type or another. And my job was to make sure that they were okay, they had everything they needed, and that they found their way to the quarters and didn't get lost on the ship somewhere. I seemed to have a pretty good knowledge of where I was and where I was going, and a good knowledge of the the ship. That was that. There was I may have sent a picture of an Eophie. There is this. I seem to just go out and float in space, and I don't know why I'm there. But anyway, I was out in deep space, and there was an Eophie out there. To me, it was an Eophie, but it had contracted, and it wasn't big and open like a circlotron type of thing where you spin around. It wasn't. It could open up like that to be that, but of considerable size. But it was contracted, and it was just this knot of um, um, I don't even know what you call them. They looked like just bands of steel, but it was AI, and it had developed this being that looks like a dendrite in the brain, and it had like about eight. It had a central part, and then it had about eight parts that went off it, and it was nested into um, a metal bed that was made specifically for it, and its shape, and it was hooked up to this Ophanim type thing. And this particular, I'll call it a being, even though the AI made it, and it was just organic and made for a very specific purpose. And I believe that the in out off this planet, there are credits that are used in the monetary system, and this biological life form was used as, it wasn't a bank, it was an economy system. Nothing that happened in space was able to get past this thing without being recorded. Every credit transfer, every black market thing, anytime a credit was used, this thing recorded it, and it controlled the credits of this particular its area. It's not all of space, because that's not possible, but that's our electric brain signature, where they can put things in and take things out and build things in there, so that we can be used like, observing and made to go places we don't particularly want to go. And it's all in that electricity, the new way of looking at it. But so it is an economic system unto itself for its sphere of influence. So anybody in that sphere of influence no matter how big or small it is, all the credits are recorded with this biological entity. And with the Eophie, the contracted metal mess that it was, I was reminded of the Old Testament and some of the humans that came across Ophanims. They saw Ophanims in the Old Testament, and they were expanded and they were spinning wildly, like around and around, and it looked like an Ophanim. And to my way of thinking, I thought, well, isn't that interesting? There's this AI thing in space, and there is this Old Testament Ezekiel, I think it is, in the Old Testament, seeing Ophanims spinning wildly with eyeballs all over it, like the old seraphim and the old cherubim and angels that are described in the Old Testament. And I thought, this is me just thinking, I thought that would be interesting if this Ophanim came and visited people like Ezekiel, and the eyeballs that he mentions could be the intense observation of this Ophanim looking at him, and he would interpret that as it being covered in eyes while it was being inspected. It was just a interesting parallel that I drew between the Old Testament and this thing in space. And that maybe they've been here a very, very long time, controlling this area of space. And also recently, the World Bank is wanting to introduce AI into our economic banking system. And I thought, oh, there you go. There's the Ophanim. They want to introduce it into our banking system. They want it to be, get rid of all the cash and make it digital. And then next minute we'll have this organic thing controlling our money. And that was the conclusion that I made seeing this thing out in space.
So are you a proponent of the QFS, the quantum financial system, or against it?
I'm not a fan. I think it could have a place in big business, for instance, but I think the people need to have a transfer of something physical in their hands, like gold. Sounds very fanciful, but something for your labor, that not this abstract, like it's kind of soul crushing to not have something physical in our hands for our labor, to my way of thinking.
Thank you. All right. So let's go on here. I see implants and wiring in the brain. I feel the brain is a hybrid, a mix of intelligent machinery and actual brain matter, interdimensional machinery, which is different to this dimension. What's this?
That is the picture of the electrical brain activity that you brought up a moment ago. The triangle image that you have there is kind of like what I saw as a child when I was playing in the backyard, except it was glowing, like alive. It was alive, and it was like part of the fabric of being of the planet. It wasn't like, nothing to be scared of. It was just natural. So the um, the brain, this is just to my way of thinking here, because the military have moved on, and pretty much we are controlled by those entities. People like ourselves are manipulated through electricity, and there is like a spiritual electricity that is used in our brain as well, and it can be manipulated to whatever they want it to be, whatever their specifications are. Mine is observing. It's spying, unfortunately, and maybe on occasion it may be knocking people off, but we're not going to say that out loud. It depends on what they want, and if that's the case, then I have no control over what I'm doing, because they've got it, and the only way out of it is to get through it and above it because I'm done. Thanks, though. It's been fun, but no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be controlled and end up in weird places and have my hands controlled and doing things, that it's not, the direction is not coming from my brain at all. It's coming from some other thing that's in my brain. And there is this interdimensional machinery that they concoct. It's like Robocop, but in the brain. Yeah.
Did they
And
put
there's
that in you? Was that
everywhere.
put in you, Kathryn?
Beg your pardon?
Was that put in you, interdimensional machinery?
I think so. I think so, because of the way that my body does things I don't really approve of.
Because they
Yeah.
say that there was an AI that ran Montauk, and those of us that were part of the Montauk project had that AI inserted into us through this bioorganic machinery um, onto cybernetic hybrids. So,
Yes.
okay.
Um, because I'm in Australia, we don't, not that we've got our own bases, where things have gone on here, but there are portals everywhere, and it's quite possible that some of our Australian uh, soldiers and children went through portals to Montauk, or we've got our own. I don't know as yet. There
All
is a
right.
wonderful woman called Fiona Barnett who's exposed a whole lot of things, and she exposed it way out loud to the press. And she's in hiding now, but she did get several YouTube videos which are still up, and they're called Candy Girl, and from when she was a small child and Nicole Kidman's father, because she is one too, satanic ritual abuse person.
Right. She was in Eyes Wide Shut, and also in this new Lioness. I don't know. It's sort of the Lioness program. It's like a CIA. Probably anyway. It's a television
Is
show.
it? I
Yeah.
haven't seen. I
Yeah.
have trouble looking at her.
And the thing is, she looks like she's like in her 30s still. I mean, how old is Nicole Kidman now? Was she drinking
90. She
drinking the
has to be 90.
there's no way she's got to be drinking that substance that we're not allowed to talk about. It rhymes with a Google
Yes. Oh,
browser.
she is. Yeah,
Uh,
she's doing that. In the center of Australia, there is this huge property, and it's called Kidman Holdings, and that's her family. And she often goes out there, and it's next to another property by someone called Twiggy Forrester. And these two properties back onto each other. And maybe I know there's massive trafficking going on out there. And we have in Australia this thing called the Artesian Basin, and it comes from the very tip of the Cape that goes up like that. It goes in, and it is vast, and it's an underground ocean. And I believe that's being used for that purpose. And it goes nearly all the way to the golf ball NSA place, and definitely down into South Australia and near those two properties. The submarine submarine experimental program down there in Adelaide made a flexible submarine so that it goes in and out like that, It's not just a flat thing. And I thought to myself, oh, that must be for Antarctica. So getting in and out the ice, or, the Great Artesian Basin, it's called, and getting in and out of the ocean, but it's extremely deep. And there's a lot of things happening in that water.
good. So, by the way, Nicole Kidman is 57 years old. So,
See, that's not right.
what? So, is that a Mandela effect, Kathryn? Are you on a different
I
timeline?
don't know what's going. No, I just think she's taking age-altering substances. I did see a terrible vision with her. I'm not sure if I should say it. You might get into trouble.
Well,
But
just
she was up to no good.
embedded language. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. All right. Well, we can
And,
just.
and she was in this party that they had way out. in a desert, and there was a pit dug, and there was some small individuals in there, and it was just a bloodbath, and she was having the best time. It was
Was that
just one of
was that
her.
like was that like a mission that you went on? You were embedded
I
in
I
parties.
would guess it could be either me um, remote viewing something, or yeah, I was remote viewing clearly, but who for, I don't know.
So Nicole Kidman has just finished a movie about bestiality. So there you go.
Oh, well, that's what her dad was into, so yeah,
Hmm.
that would make sense. Oh, has she? Oh, God. Anyway, fine. You do that.
Okay. All right. So let's move on here. Your Syrian friend. Let me pull up the artwork for that one. Tell us what Eophone. Oh gosh, I can't even pronounce it. Why don't you to tell us?
I can't pronounce it either. I
Oh,
can't.
okay. I'll go back to
It's
my notes here.
like they're 10 to 12 dimensional beings, and I'm not going to be
Eophie.
able to pronounce that name. So
Eophie.
yeah. Anyway, that is not entirely accurate, but it's the best I could come up with, apart from doing it myself. And they have glowing. There's glowing markings on them, and glowing markings around their third eye, and sometimes a gold star, and it's used for their type of communication. I mean, I don't think we would understand what they're doing, and um, it's used for communication, and they're just stunningly beautiful beings, and they are interested in helping us overcome for the ascension of the planet. And for the, if you don't like that word ascension, then, for the overcoming, so we can go into different dimensions that are higher in frequency than the one we're stuck in now with the 3D. And the more you can go up, the better it is for everybody. And we each have a sigil, like a signature, and mine has a hook, and it has a flat horizontal line going through it, and it has little, like between the hook and the horizontal line there are things in there, but I I don't know what they are, and I don't know what they mean, and I can't see them properly. But there are other beings that I also work with, or that work with me really, because I'm interested in helping. I'm interested in helping good people. And my Syrian friend is a good person. I do have a Zeta Reticuli person with an extremely mature and beautiful and balanced heart. Uh, Unusual head shape, like a bony sort of structure for head.
Is
There's
this
another
is this the
being that is
picture?
kind of,
Is this it here?
that's
This
the
picture.
Syrian that looks a lot like that,
Okay.
but um, not quite, not quite, because their eyes are kind of go around the side of their head, but in the eyes you can see the cosmos. It goes back and back and back with these stars, kind of like the ocean behind me, but a cosmos. And that's inside their eyes. So, there's there's a lot of beauty with them.
Very
And
good.
they're loving and good people. And the Zeta Reticuli was a very loving and good person as well. And there's another one that was, no, I can't remember whether I didn't get a gender, was blue or gold or a mix, but there was big, large gold eyes. And another one, there was five altogether. Another one is the mantis that I've been working with, that I know really, really well. And I know all of them really well. And my purpose to be with them is to help other people. And the signature thing is because as they can recognize me out of other people, they search for that particular pattern and shape. And so that they know it's me. And everybody's got one, and each one is different. And they just search for that signature, that vibration, and they're able to find us straight away.
Well, tell us a little bit how Eophie was able to help you overcome programming negativity and breaking free from this dimension.
It's a very personal journey. It's overcoming negativity. I'm not free. I'm not free. I'm working on it. I have negative thoughts as much as anybody else does. And like when I'm particularly weighed down by something, that programming that is in my past, like say I get all caught up in rapes, or I'll get all caught up of being locked into rooms, or whatever it is that they've done, then our recognizing that that was a thing that happened. It happened. You're not there anymore. You're safe now. It's not part of you. You're not there, and you can actually walk out the door of that experience and close the door behind you, and uh, and leave it there, because it's not part of who you are now. And the more we can do that, the more we can uh, recognize our programming when it comes up, and not get all caught up in it, and you know wallow in it. The more we can close all those doors, the better it is for absolutely everyone around us and the planet as a whole, to my way of thinking and his way of thinking.
All right. Through your understanding of our true nature, golden being's essence, we could tap into the energy of Amrita. Why don't you tell us, what is Amrita?
When yogis in India or any other yogic practice, even Sufis in Turkey, um, when they are meditating and praying in their way of praying, like yogis do yoga, Sufis do whirling dervish things, and the base of the spine chakra is activated, and it whirls up into through the chakras, um, into all the way through our throat and third eye to our head. There is this golden elixir that comes up our spine. It actually comes through our spine and up, and you can see pictures of Shiva, and they talk about there's like his top knot, and then there's a river coming out of the top of his top knot. And if you look at individuals like the yogis and the Sufis and whoever else out there, it doesn't even matter what culture they come from. Nearly every culture has something that where somebody is exercising their kundalini, and it's going up their spine and coming out of the crown chakra. And that's pretty much an enlightenment, and that will get you out of this 3D dimension. Everybody has the capacity to do it. All these people who do it are not any more special than, you know, you or I. We've all got that. And also with our heart that has another brain in it, if we are utilizing our crown chakra, third eye, throat, and heart, then that's the power that they're shit scared of. We are the creators of this planet. We're not the dirt that the SSP would have us believe. To my way of thinking again.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about we discuss? Do you want to share the message for JP?
Sure. Do you have something there?
Well, he did give permission. Well, you gave permission to share it, so he wants it. So, um, I I'll yes I'll pull this up. So for those of you who don't know, JP has been interviewed by Dr. Sala for many times now, and he was in the army and was taken into these projects. One of the places he was taken to was in Florida, where he had access to an underground facility where there were mantoids, and homeless people would occasionally stumble throughout these woods and find these entrances, and they would go into these caves, and the mantis, the ant, well, actually, it was antids, right, Kathryn? Not mantid, it was antids.
Insectoids?
Yeah, little antid creatures
So
took
many different ones.
would take these humans in, and many of these people, I think it was they were saying some of them are like 150 years old now, or I don't know. Let me go back, check out my notes on that. But so what we did is and there was some kind of they had the golden tear. Well, no, that was Jimmy Payne. The tree of immortality. They had these seeds from this tree that would give you extend your life. So we were trying to go down there and figure out what was going on, because the Antids gifted it to the military, but the British royal family got a hold of the seeds. So they were really
Is that what
upset.
happened to them? I wasn't aware. Oh, did they
Yes,
now?
they were really upset. So
Of course they would. Yes.
well, so JP went back down there. I was like, well, let's listen in to the meeting. And we were only able to get so far, but we did have to get permission from the Antids to enter. So, because first we tried just piggybacking off the techniques that I've developed over the years, but but ultimately, just asking permission went a lot further, right, Kathryn? You found an Antid that allowed you to couple your energy to her, I believe, right? Was a female.
Yes. I think I was my sphere self, and that I was able to enter and be with someone, be with her, uh, and um, and enter the room that was like a British court. It had the feeling of a royal court, and I say I didn't see a throne, but every time I say that, I point over in that direction. I didn't see a throne, I say. So maybe clearly I did, and I was concentrating on other things, and maybe it wasn't that important. But there were 150 or so, 200 lacewing beings in there, and their exoskeleton of their wings was kind of up a bit, and underneath there were these pretty lace wings, and they use it for sensing their environment, and it was they were all fluttering, and little paper sounds were everywhere, and like rustling paper sort of, and they were very deep in conversation. They were very concerned about something, and whatever it is was very, very important. And each of their conversations were taken up into some hive mind or group consciousness above them. So every conversation was stored in this hive mind, and resolutions were made from there once everybody's opinions were recorded, and I was there observing and reporting. I don't know what the resolution was. Um, I didn't hear any more after that. And JP went into the crowd, into the crowd of insectoids, and very affable sort of personality. And he just got about doing his thing, communicating with people, saying hi, and you know, doing whatever you would do in a diplomatic meeting. And you have to have a particular type of personality to do that, to socialize in such a way. And that is not me. I'm a background person. I will never be what a JP is, which is getting in amongst everybody and spreading goodwill, pretty much.
Wow, very
I
good.
thought. That's
Well,
my memory of that.
yeah, I'm looking through the notes, and there is nothing about the resolution of the meeting because this session ended at that point. But
No,
to
I
go
don't
through this
know.
a little bit further, we have there are brown antids, about smaller than 10 foot, but then there was smaller ones too.
Yeah, I felt 6 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet.
Skeletons,
But there
or
seemed to
like
be a
ant.
uniform height about them. They didn't vary. Like humans, you get 6 feet, 7 feet ones and tiny ones. There was none of that. There was a uniformity about them.
At the bottom of the stairs, there's JP wearing his military army green, black boots, army belt. Um, he's friendly. He's the boss of the situation. This is a solo mission. There's another creature, like a dragon fly like female ant being with iridescent but not shiny Blue, green, purple, subtle, as tall as JP. There's a tunnel. Bottom looks flat, compressed, dirt, clay like, but dark in here. There's diffused light. Cannot find the light source.
Yeah, it was just a glowing tunnel. And the floor, if you've ever done any building, you mix silicon with a soft clay, and it ends up this beautiful, shining, undulating floor. And the floors reminded me that there was some sort of soft earth mixed with some sort of substance, which could be anything from their place. And it was a lovely, soft, shiny earth floor
Hmm.
with
Compressed dirt. Yeah.
no discernible light source.
So at that point, you got blocked. So then we go back and then we ask for permission. So this time, we go down through the tunnel and there's a like a luminescent, attractive looking lights, white and purple. Cannot find the light source again. So okay, and now you look like a female ant. So you coupled with one of the bodies down there. She granted you
Yes,
permission. Okay, and then this cavern is at the end of the tunnel where you just meet this court-like setting. They're not wearing clothes, but there's about 100 antids here. JP is very friendly, clicks very well with the ant people. As the female ants, they step backward. They're more of an observer. Then let's see, very hierarchical, diplomatic, wheeling and dealing, hive mind.
typical diplomatic meeting. A
Their
lot
thought
of very edgy stuff going on.
so sort of like humans to sit around a board table in a hive mind situation, their thoughts bounce off each other in a collective consciousness to make decisions for the group consciousness. Very,
Yeah,
very
and
intense.
those decisions come from the hive mind.
Thank you, Kathryn.
You're welcome.
All right. Last questions. Well, actually, do you have any final comments about JP?
No, I don't. It was just one of those things. I don't know the man. I couldn't see his face. It was shielded. There's like a cloud, like muting situation that goes on. That is used by the military if they don't want somebody's identity known,
Hmm.
which is very curious that vice admiral from the submarine thing didn't have his face shielded. But anyway, he didn't. The little men in black did. Mm. Uh, no, I don't have anything more to report about JP. I do have another memory of going to the moon and seeing my hybrid child, but that was in a, that's just a small with
Hmm.
the greys. That was. Would you like me to mention that?
Sure.
Okay, I went to the moon. It's not the only time I've been to the moon. I've been several times, and there was a creche there, and one of my hybrid children was in the creche, very excited to see me. There was a woman, a tall grey. She was wearing a hood and a cape. A very, very nice lady. And the hybrid child that I went to see was a grey hybrid. There were other parents there with other types of hybrid children, but mine was the grey, and she was beautifully dressed and very well mannered, um, very well looked after, like well fed, and she was just a delightful person. And she was about 9 or 10, and she was very, very excited to meet me. And I was pretty excited to meet her as well. I don't know what happened after that, but I that was a lovely meeting, especially after I remember that thing with the hooves. That good things can happen too.
Uh, I'm sorry, Catherine. I was not paying attention. Where was the meeting? I listened to
The
most of it
moon,
on the moon. Okay.
inside the moon, and a creche.
And how did you get there? Do you recall that?
The other times that I'd gone there, it was actually with a spacecraft, because I remember looking out the window and thinking I was expecting colors, from the Hubble telescope or something, which is ridiculous. And I was a bit disappointed that they were just, it was black with little white dots. So I remember going there those particular times in a spacecraft, and so I'm presuming that that would be it.
Thank you for that. Great. So, yeah, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Okay, last we have a question from the chat. ZV, I have a 2-hour presentation about this, but the short form is uh, the Sonora Aerospace Club was experimenting with anti-gravitics as early as the 1860s, and a prototype was shown to Abraham Lincoln, a flying platform type craft. And then later on, the U.S. Navy got a hold of, continued working on this technology under Operation Winter Haven under T. Townsend Brown, as well as the Dyson family was participating in creating anti-gravitics, where they were eventually, that whole project got renamed as Solar Warden in 1980. And then from there, Solar Warden was split into two different groups, uh, Radiant Guardian, Radiant Glory. Radiant Glory is from oh my gosh, that where Tiamat used to be. I forgot that asteroid belt there to the sun, and then behind that is Radiant Glory, Guardian. Sorry, Radiant. So Glory is the sun, and Guardian is further out. So there's a lot to take care of in the universe, in our solar system. Lots going on, and even further out, we have other groups. But all right, Kathryn, thank you for that very
You're
interesting
welcome.
question. Let's see here. Well, I meant to say thank you. Well, yeah, thank you too, Kathryn. Okay, let's see here. We have the Greys used to be human in an alternate universe. Would you agree with that, Kathryn?
No, I don't. I think they're a species unto themselves, and we're as varied out there as we are varied here.
So,
No, I don't think there's any unifying factor to my thinking.
so there's 21 different species of gray, and of that, there's an even a larger amount of hybrids. But there was what the J Rods. Dan Burish stated that some of these grays were from a timeline where we had nuclear war and humanity had to go live underground for 50,000 years. Eventually, they mutated into the grays, and they're coming back to either replenish their race or to create the timeline where the race exists. So,
Mm,
okay, just wrap your mind around that. Uh, let's go on here.
yes. We're
Any
being
other
lied to about so many things with history. Nothing would surprise me at all.
great question, King James? Let's bring JP on if he would accept. So I'll get a hold of him. Let's see if we can bring him on. Thank you for that great
That would be.
advice there. So we have any other good questions? I knew there was some in here. If you want to ask your questions, go ahead and do so now, or forever hold your peace. So, all right. Well, Kathryn, tell people about the Facebook group that you is that a Facebook group? That link there? What is that?
Yes. My normal everyday Facebook groups have my family on it, and I really don't want to freak them out to the point that they shatter. So I started this Facebook group, and it's my grandmother's name, Rose McQueen, and I just put Sun in front of it. So it's Sun Rose McQueen, and it's easily found. It's a newish group, and I'm starting to put down all of my experiences in an extra. There's those side pages, and it's experiences, clones, and something. I don't remember what the other name of it is, but I'm beginning to put down every single experience with some artwork on it, and building it up very slowly. So if you wanted to contact through Sun Rose McQueen, you're very welcome to.
Thank you very much. So, I would like people to consider donating to our 501c3 nonprofit called Healing Soul Survivors. Your donations will be greatly appreciated, and it helps pay for the software. And I'm going to. I got trapped into a bet. So the bet was David Saeed wanted me to come out to Vegas. I'm sorry, to Los Angeles in April. So He puts it on his 5D events in Los Angeles and Vegas, but the April one is for Los Angeles. And I said, I'll only go if Trump got elected. So, yeah, I'm going. So, he does not compensate us for that. So, I do need your donations. I can get some more great interviews here on the Super Soldier Talk. So, you can also go to Neological Tech. I can sign up to do a regression. And Kathryn, did you like the technique that I had developed for you?
I did.
Years. Okay.
I really enjoyed sitting on the monolith and going into the different portals. There were different experiences in every portal. Being a
Great.
super soldier in one of those rooms where it smelled of metal and everybody was just waiting. Like for me, they were quite mundane situations, but I'm sure people have much more exciting things in regressions than what I've experienced, and I recommend you go and do it.
So everyone's experience is unique. Some people under regression, they're able to speak in foreign languages. Some people are only able to see color. So I can't promise you, but I will do our best to get that memories come back for you. Great. Also, you can, let's see here, go to our Rumble channel, subscribe just in case something YouTube may. I think the censorship is starting to go away, honestly. We also have a Telegram group and a Facebook group. We'd love to reach out and talk to you. I may not be able to do it, but we have people on there that can. So everybody, just stay put. I've got a very important message from LifeWave, and we will all see you later. Thank you, Kathryn. Thank you, audience
You're
members.
welcome.
We'll
Thank you,
also,
everybody.
yes, thank you. We love you all, most of you. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Today, we are exploring a breakthrough in health and performance, the X49 Performance Patch. Joining us again is Arthur to explain a little bit about what this is about. So thank you, Arthur, for coming here.
Thank you, James, for having me. I'm excited to talk about this incredible patch.
So, Arthur, what is the big deal behind the X49 Performance Patch?
The performance patch is a clinically proven product that boosts AHK copper peptide in your body, which has a wide range of benefits. It helps improve strength, stamina, recovery, and supports bone health by increasing bone density and reducing bone breakdown.
Wow, so it's more than just a performance booster.
Exactly. It also supports cardiovascular health, improves hair and nail growth, and even helps regenerate dopamine and serotonin, which enhances your motivation and mood.
Wow, that's very impressive. Now, I've heard a lot about phototherapy and photobiomodulation therapy lately. Can you please explain to the audience how these therapies work and their benefits?
Absolutely. Photobiomodulation therapy uses specific wavelengths of light to stimulate cellular function and promote healing. It enhances blood flow, reduces inflammation, and supports the production of beneficial compounds like peptides. The performance patch utilizes this technology to activate your body's natural healing processes.
Well, Arthur, that sounds incredible. So, in addition to boosting your physical performance, the patch also supports overall health and well being. So, could you please tell us a little bit more about how it improves bone health specifically?
The patch lowers NTX levels, which are markers of bone breakdown. By reducing these levels, it allows bones to strengthen, leading to better bone density over time.
Wow, that sounds really important, especially as we age. You mentioned it also impacts dopamine and serotonin. So, could you please tell us a little bit more on how it does that?
Yes, it triggers pathways that support dopamine production, boosting motivation, and also supports serotonin through the 5-HT pathway, helping to improve mood and overall mental well being.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I've also heard it helps reduce exposure to EMF. Now, how does it do that?
Yes, the patch provides protection from electromagnetic fields, EMF, which we encounter from devices like our phones and computers, helping minimize potential disruption in our body's natural processes.
So it's helping physically and mentally, even while reducing EMF exposure. Is there anything else people should know?
Yes, it also boosts key amino acids like alanine for performance, histidine for repair, and lysine for collagen production, which supports healthy skin and tissue.
Well, so this particular LifeWave patch sounds really incredible. Thank you for coming on here to explain a little bit more about this product.
My pleasure, James. It's a great, non invasive way to support both body and mind.
So, if you're looking to improve your performance, recovery, and overall well being, the LifeWave X49 Performance Patch could be the perfect solution. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all later. Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.